We will do the next session. We have 40 minutes. We will do the next session in so-called Davos style. Never been in Davos, but so bear with me. I think we're going to have a good time. We will have 3 speakers here on stage, and I will interview each one of them, and we go around the topics around Sparkman and Stephens. And we look a little bit about history, and we go then to the current times, what's happening now, and then of course we talk about the future. And in the end, we will have an opportunity to have also Donald, and also we will have John with us joining the stage, so we will end up the session like this. But first of all, I will introduce first speaker, Mr. Antti Herlin, the owner of legendary Sparkman Stephens from '67. Just the great stories about Sparkman and Stephens designs, and looking back into the history, your father actually ordered Lygaia, and he was 34 years old. Well, you know the story. What really made him to make a decision to order a Sparkman Stephens?
Well, you have to tell me now that when I'm starting to be using too many words, but it can be a pretty long story, but let's say so that it's, my great-grandfather was a great sailor, and he actually designed his own 60s, which was fairly successful already 100 and some years ago, and my father admired his grandfather also. Not his father, but grandfather. It's got to be like this. And first time, he started to work for the elevator company, Kone, in 1959, and the first time that he really started to make a lot of money was in the early 60s, 63, 62, and right away he started to spend some of that money. He bought the Jaguar, which was one of the first ones in Finland, and then he also ordered a sailing boat from Lindblom, and it's called Aura, and it's still around here, sailing in the Helsinki area. And because of his very competitive mind, he then couldn't help started to race also. It was originally designed to be just for family sailing and for weekends in the Gulf of Finland and the archipelago, but pretty soon he was racing, and 1966 he ended up to score race in Denmark. And I was at that time, I was 9 years old. I didn't take part in the racing, but then I came with Aura back from Skagen to Finland. And the story has been told to me that it was fairly hard weather, good winds in Kattegat and Skagerrak, and this Aura was not really designed for heavy winds. So at some stage they were not, they had probably 2 reefs, and it was not just beating, and then from behind they saw a boat that came from far below, and with a totally different angle, and then went like a train past them, and then they found out that it was a boat by the name of Firebrand, and this is what Jyski Viherholm tells me, that he said I want one of those. But what I know for sure, that when we left Skagen, we spent one night in Kristiansand, and then he asked, we left in the evening, and he asked the guys what's the best way to sail out, and the Danish wasn't so good, so we took totally the wrong course, and he in the 10 o'clock dark night already, and he hit almost like dry drowned. And your your father was with. I remember that also quite well. Matti Saurila and my father and Irma Saurila, my mother. And they were pretty, at least they felt like to a 9-year-old boy, pretty big waves, and we were kind of like bumping on these stones. And I remember that one of the diagonals came down, so we had difficulties because my father definitely didn't go back to Christians anymore, like beaten. So he said, no, we will continue. We'll go to Kalmar and we'll fix the boat in Kalmar. And so in Kalmar there was another Finnish, or two actually. It was Kari Myrinmaa who came with his Lowy, with his dragon boat. He had been racing in Copenhagen. But then there was also Eikka Anttoja with his boat. And so my father spoke with Eikka there and said, okay, next winter we have to build a new boat. And right away when I'm in Finland, I will order the drawings from Sparkman Stephens. And that's pretty much how it happened. Now that was summer '66, and there was without telefaxes or even telex machines those days, only letters and telexes, and no mobile phones or anything like that. So it was like probably August '66. He ordered a boat, and midsummer night next year, '67, the boat was in water.
Well, that's a nice story and quite fastly built, but still sailing beautifully. How do you also had an opportunity to sail with Olin Stephens back in the 2002 or 3 was the right year. How was that? Did he remember that he had designed?
Well, I think so. Actually, I stopped thinking that I'm getting old because I actually met both Rod and Olin Stephens. Rod Stephens, it might have been the same trip when he met Koskekylä here in Helsinki, but the only thing I remember, because then I was already 10 years old, not 9 anymore, but 10, and he was in Kuusvik in my home, and my father asked, do you want to go to Helsinki by boat or by car, with a powerboat or by car, and his reply was that I always appreciate waterways to highways, so we took a boat to Helsinki. That was Rod Stephens, but I don't even remember how he looked or anything like that. But then the next time is the one that was mentioned here already. It was the AIDS Worlds, and it was Mara Viikari who actually contacted me the first time. I said, Antti, that Olin Stephens is coming to Finland, and we should take Lygaia and go sailing with it and see some of the races. And I said, sure, no, of course we do that. And then he said, Mara said that we'll take also Eikka Antinoja with, and so early one morning, then Eikka came to Kuusvik, he still drove, then we saw to NJK Yacht Club, and then Olin was waiting there, and I still remember that there was this cement pontoons, and we were pretty much higher than the pontoon, how heavy he was then I guess 94 or something. He grabbed the boats and climbed in, like pretty much how we were. We just heard about him in St. Petersburg. He didn't need any help in boats either. So we went to see the starts, and we came back to NJK. Eikka Antinoja, who was at least 10 years younger than Olin, took a little naps every now and then, but Olin Stephens wanted to see what's happening around, so he actually never went down. And then when we came to NJK, I think you jumped out and Harry, Piiri, and maybe even Mara jumped out. But then I asked Olin, I will sail home. It's about 3 hours from here, so we'd like to go and maybe take a rest here downtown, or would you like to come with me, because I'll sail home and then I'll eat something and then I will come back downtown with a powerboat. So of course, I definitely like sailing more than taking naps. And then we sailed back to Espoonlahti, off Espoo, and I think one of the things that very vividly remember was his interest in each boat that came towards us. Every boat he really looked at, probably saw tons of things that I couldn't even imagine what he saw, but he was extremely interested in boats.
Nice. Let's look a little bit to the history. Lygaia is in a beautiful condition, and woodwork is perfect there. How do you see where Lygaia is sailing in 50 years?
Well, the probability that you are sailing with it is a bit bigger than that I am sailing with it in 50 years.
Come on, I'm only 98. You're a young man.
No, I think I'll be 50 years, I'll be already 100 and something. Well, I think it's definitely possible that it's sailing. It's now in Kotka at the Wooden Boat Center, and now we are actually making something quite dramatic. We are putting new electricity. We are now replacing all the electrics that was then originally put there by Ripa Holmström in 1967, so they start to get a bit old.
All right, thank you, Antti. And next one, I have Mr. Matteo Salamon, the founder of Sparkman Stephens Swan Association and producer of Sparkman Stephens Swan, a legend. Matteo, you are one of the persons who knows the whole Swan and Sparkman Stephens community really well, inside and out. Tell us a little bit about how did that all happen, how the community of Sparkman Stephens has kind of evolved in the past years.
Well, the idea of founding the S&S Swan Association came to me when I bought my boat, my first boat, which was a Swan 38 in 1999. The first thing I did is I subscribed the boat to the Swan Cup in 2000 in Sardinia. I went there and I was on, I think, 70 or 80 boats. She was the only boat with a furler. I mean, we were a group of friends, me and my wife. My wife she's always at the helm, always. I'm not allowed to take the helm when racing. And with a group of very close friends, we did very bad, of course, but we were in the middle of, at the end of the regatta, we were in the middle, and I realized there were so many beautiful new boats, and just, I think, in 2000, maybe 5 or 6 on Swan, Sparkman Stephens Swan. So on my way back to Liguria, where I usually keep the boat, I said to myself, I want to do something for these beautiful boats. You know, I love Sparkman Stephens Swan. I met Olin, I raced with Olin, I met Olin. I had a connection with Sparkman Stephens and loved this boat. So I said, I want to do something. So with a friend of mine whom I met because he was at that time, he was already a Swan owner, Stefan Choni, we decided to found the S&S Swan Association. Of course, we had no knowledge at all of what we would have liked to do, but I tell you what happened. What is the association now after 19 years? On 824 built swans, most of them still sailing, because I think we, over the last 54 years, some 15 or 16 boats have been lost by fire, etc., etc. We have at the association 604 members, associated members, which means owners from all over the world. And we have a website which is the head of the association. On the website we have, which is free to be browsed. You can log in and look at everything which is alive. We have 149 original drawings from Sparkman Stephens. We have 129 articles related on S&S Swan, which means technical articles, which talk about sailing adventures, etc., etc. We have 1,328 photographs. We have original manuals of the technical things which are peculiar. Most of them are peculiar to the S&S Swan. I mean, the old electronics, the old Nick autopilot, the Brooks and Gatehouse, etc., etc. And we had a forum about 15 years ago. A member of the association said to me, Matteo, the association is very nice, it's very useful, you've got a lot of material on the web, but we need a place where members could talk to each other. So I didn't know what a forum was, but I found out.
Now you know.
Yeah, now I know. I found out, and thanks to Lars Ström, who is an extremely help for the association and for the forum. He administrates the forum with me. I can tell you in 15 years we now have 1,396 threads and 8,297 posts. These numbers, why I give you these numbers, all the threads, all the posts have been checked, I promise you, one by one. They are extremely concentrated on technical matters on S&S Swan. I think on the forum, between the website where you have technical things and on the forum, you can find everything you need to maintain, to improve and to restore the Sparkman Stephens Swan. So this is what the association is today, and I hope that it will double in 20 years' time, 19 years' time.
Okay, how do you then keep it alive, and how do you see the kind of the next generation of Sparkman Stephens Swan owners? Is there, can you kind of go into a profile or person who would be the next generation of the owners?
This is a very difficult answer, but you know, how I keep it surviving is with a passion. I think this. The only thing I can say, when Pekka Koskenkila about 15 years ago told me, Matteo, what is going to happen to the association, because you're organizing, you're dealing with the website, you're dealing with members, sending newsletters, administrating the forum, etc. You are organizing rendezvous and S&S Swan class during the Swan Cup races. But what is going to happen in the next years? And it doubled. I mean, if I can think of what was happening 15 years ago, I can promise you today we are doing double the work we were doing 15 years ago. So I think what I would like to do is to bring into the association new people, because I would like to be here forever, but maybe in a few, maybe decades, I won't be here anymore. So I would like to have someone who will be with me and with Lars and with all the members who keep the association alive to go on. Who are the next owners? We have many young members at the association. When I say young members, I mean between 35 and 45 years old. So I'm not scared about the future of our boats, because I think they are eternal. And our duty, the duty of the owners today, is to keep them as well as possible, in the best condition, to pass on the boat to the next generation. But I'm sure there will be new and younger members who will say that.
Okay, thank you, Matteo. So we have a future also with that. So that's great. All right, and next one we will have Lars Ström, who is used to be the head of design center for Swans, Nautor, for 30 years. Welcome. All right, Lars. Actually, today we've been talking quite a lot about Mr. Ollie Stephens, but you knew also Rod very well, brother. So, how did you guys met? What was your first point of contact then?
Rod visited Nautor every month, and then he inspected the boats. Many times he had Lloyd's chief surveyor Åke Lindqvist with him. And then they had an internal competition who could find more things to remark on the boats. And somebody from the yard, often me, was going in the wake and making notes what they remarked. So the thing is that in this way the yard with this room learned how to build good boats. That means to Sparkman Stephens standards. And Rod was not afraid of going up the mast. That was part of his inspection. And check the cotter pins. That was his peculiar interest. How much to open the ends of the cotter pins, 15 degrees. Because you must be able to take out the cotter pin with one hand and holding on to the mast with the other. But most cotter pins you see are opened far too much. Rod was a professional traveler. He went around the world to all these yards where S&S boats were built. And the peculiar thing was that he had just one small handbag when he came. Even if he visited maybe 20 yards. And he had developed a nice system for this. Of course, it took lots of planning. He sent out the bags with the right content to airports in the world. And then he picked up this bag and returned it to the airport, and from there it went back home. And it was very practical. I was not dragging around big suitcases with this stuff.
How do you see then the Rod's legacy today, today's yachts? Is there something that you feel that has been really inherited into today's world?
I think he would be quite critical about the new boats because in Rod's opinion, a proper sea bunk is 22 inches wide, that's 53 centimeters. And you need high leadboards not to fall out if the boat roses. But you cannot sell 22 inches bunks at a boat show. So the boats now have double beds. Rod had a nice notation for that. It was, he said, rounding pads. So it was not maybe very positive. But anyway, you cannot sleep in a double bed if the boat is heeling much. You need to be confined in a narrow bunk.
Is there any other critical things except the bunks that he would be into today's design?
He was of the opinion that hatches need to have coamings which are raised above the deck. The higher the coaming, the less water is coming in. And if you look at the new boats, there are no hatch combing at all. So I think he would point out that this is not a good way. The other thing is about ventilation. The door rail ventilators got their name from door rail. That means the door rail covers here on deck is on older boats. But now the new boats have no door rails, so one can wonder how the ventilation is arranged. And the problem is that it's usually rather moist conditions in a boat. So you need a way of getting the air exchanged. Also, when there is a strong wind and big waves and water on deck.
Then a big question to you. Who do you think would be the Rod Stevens of today? Is there a person like that?
I don't think there is any person doing that sort of work, traveling continuously around the world and doing inspection lists and making the type plans. The type plans of Sparkman Stephens are very widely used. That means they show principles for good solutions. And some type plans are available on the internet. And if you have a problem on your boat, just needs to check if there's a type plan. There you can find some good advice.
Okay, so we don't have not a person like Rod Stevens with us here. So that's what you are saying.
Yeah, no, I don't know of anybody doing that sort of work anymore.
All right, thank you, Lars. And finally, we will invite also Donald and John to meet us here. Please. Question to Donald. Don't be afraid. This is only Davos style. So. You heard also. You told us about a small trend what is happening now in the Billionaires Club buying the 1940s boats. But what other trends you are seeing at the moment? How do you see the current customers of Sparkman and Stephens? How is the next generation looking at it?
Well, we see two things. We hope we find people, perhaps younger, but I'm not age sensitive. I'm 72. I'm still going to build more boats. But we'd like to see people building new boats to new designs. We'd also like to see people build Sparkman and Stephens designs, part of our historic library of 2,800 separate designs. But the biggest part of our business is more design engineering, which is somebody buys a boat like Gesture or Bueren and Running Tide and will hire us to make sure that they have a certified Sparkman and Stephens refit rather than have the builder go off on a tangent. How many boat builders are in the audience? Oh, that's a lot. So I can't say what I was going to say. So I won't name anybody specifically, but I've certainly had my experience with many boat builders, and they're wonderful people, but the standard line is, I'll ask the question, how much is it going to cost? And you remember what Commodore Morgan said, if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. But I had one very famous boat builder say, oh, on a boat that we refit, oh, it'll be about $200,000. You know, the usual time and materials. And then another $600,000 later, we finished the boat for a little over $100,000. What we really need is not only the designs and the engineering, But my background is commercial real estate. We need a clerk of the works on site every day. Somebody to overlook the boat, represent the owner, and be the connection between us in marine engineering and naval architecture, the owner and the builder. Somebody has to be there watching over their shoulders.
Thank you. But what I see, that what I learned today is that I never thought about it, but since the Esther times, as we heard, the brief has been pretty much the same. So build me the faster boat than the last one. So
Well,
is that still the brief?
that was always standard line. I was in Oakland with Olin during the America's Cup, and the boys from New York dragged me down to Auckland to sell books. And so I got to the head of the line, and I already owned the book I was buying. I said, could you autograph my book? And Olin said, sure, Donald, what do you want me to say? And I said, well, anything you want, we're just happy you're here. And he thought a moment, and he said, Donald, you have an impossible dream. You want to build identical boats. By that time, we were building the 46-footers and the 76-footers. No one wants a boat that goes exactly the same speed as the last boat. Everybody wants a boat a little bit faster. Now, if I'd only listened to Olin in 2003, 16 years ago, I'd have a lot more money now.
John, one thing I wanted to raise to you is regarding the you said that you are the love for the wood, and you know everything about wooden boats. Especially the next generation, and is very concerned about the wood in general and what's happening with the sustainability and stuff. So how do you see that as a material for the future and to make it sustainable?
You're asking the wrong man. But if I quickly one on what Donald
Sure.
just said about the boatyard quoting 200,000 and ending up at 800,000. I think there's a little boatyard that used to be in your neck of the woods, Donald, that had a sign at the entrance, and you have to pronounce it well. If you have, don't pronounce it well, misses the point. At the entrance of the boatyard, it had a sign that says, "We're not happy until you're not happy." Good. No, as far as
They still have the sign there.
yeah, but no, as far as sustainability is concerned, as wood is concerned, you're in good company. If you look at, if you want to know what my definition is of a classic boat, the boat is built from material that is biodegradable. And as soon as it's no longer biodegradable, it's not a classic boat. So that's point number one. And if it's not biodegradable, there's metals in there which we can recycle. So as far as we're concerned, the boats that we're sailing, they're as good as it gets. Way better than what is being built today. If you then look at the life cycle of the material of what has been built from, wood, the typical age of a tree that is being cut to be used for a boat, whether it's oak or mahogany, the mahoganies are not that old, they're 80 or 100 years old. The oaks are typically 60, 80 years old. If you then look at the life cycle of a boat, it is around, if you're lucky, 70 to 100 years. So it takes about as long for the tree to grow as the boat to grow. Not a bad thing. So keep on building in wood. Good for the environment. Stop building aluminium. Sorry, you like aluminium. I like aluminium. It's got aluminum.
You can melt the aluminum, make aluminum cans for beer and Coca-Cola.
That's the American version. They don't make aluminium.
I might make one comment about sustainability. Flying, taking that long approach into your airport here in Helsinki, I noticed the wood lots, and I'm sure they'll either be cut for firewood or for paper pulp, perhaps for road building, house building. But I noticed in terms of sustainability, where there has been lumber cut, there have been new trees replanted. And this whole life cycle of replanting the forest, I think, is so important. I was born, grew up, still live in New England. There are more trees in New England now than there were in 1800. 1800, you look back at the photographs, we didn't have photographs till it's sold. Look at photographs from the mid-1800s, there are no trees. Maybe at the edge of the fields, but there are no trees. And all those forests have now been regrown. So there is a life cycle and sustainability.
Thank you. One more for the John. Lars had a comment on that.
I have a question for John. What about epoxy-treated wood?
Oh dear.
Is it biodegradable?
Is it for restoration or new build? Both. Okay. Someone's going to be upset when I talk.
When you think about epoxy as being oil-based, it can be recycled. I'm sure there's a way to grind up epoxy and mix it with sand and make blacktop someday.
Yeah, I think that it's a completely different discussion, which if I can suggest or organize a separate symposium about it.
Epoxy, sure.
The long and short, I'll throw a spanner in the works there, where if you talk about restoration, I am not a great fan of epoxy. And one of the reasons is I am, in my own way, sort of a purist, where it comes back to the time machine, like a boat like Esther, where you learn on how they used to build in the past. And the argument that comes back every time where they say, oh, if Johan Anker would have had epoxy, he would have used it. Absolutely true. He would have designed a TP52 or a Volvo 60 out of epoxy and glass. He wouldn't have built an 8 meter or a 12 meter. And I think that's one of the key things that you can, when you look at materials, and shape and material go hand in hand. These boats have the shape they have because of the materials that were available. As the materials change, you can start changing shape to go to that higher strength-weight ratio. So as far as I'm concerned, epoxy is often a step to move away from the integrity of the yacht. Nothing to do with sustainability, just me being silly.
Yeah, thank you. For everybody's invited to Epoxy Symposium next year. Then. That's because we're already planning it. The next one to Matteo. We heard today also Donald mentioned about time-sharing trend is happening in the yacht clubs, and we see it in Finland already. How do you see that one in Sparkman Stephens Swans? Is there like the owning versus time-sharing?
So repeat the question. Sorry.
Yeah, so regarding the time sharing versus owning nowadays, so as we see that the next generation is probably not the ones who wants to buy the boats anymore. So how do you see that trend? Is that happening in men's or is that happening in Sparkman Stephens Swan?
It's definitely happening in the Mediterranean, and yes, of course, it is happening with Sparkman Stephens Swan.
Yeah, so it's a big trend also there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I think we are running out of time now. I would like to thank you all the panelists here, although we have an all-male panel, no regrets for that, but I think we had a good conversation, and now I think it's time for the break. Thank you.